Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. In the last couple of episodes, we've been walking through some heavy terrain. We talked about the tension between love and a world that doesn't always reward it. We talked about standing steady when things feel divided, distorted, loud. We talked about staying rooted when everything around us seems to be pulling toward reaction. But today, I want to speak to something quieter, something more personal. What happens when you're tired? Not tired from a bad night's sleep and not tired from work, but tired of being the loving one. Tired of being the one who pauses before reacting, the one who absorbs the tone instead of escalating it, the one who tries to understand or the one who keeps softening the edges. What happens when you look around and think, why is it always me? There's a kind of exhaustion that comes from choosing love in a world that often chooses something else. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It builds slowly. It's the fatigue of self-regulation, the fatigue of restraint, the fatigue of not firing back when it would be easier to do so. You begin to wonder if love is just code for being taken advantage of. You begin to wonder if compassion is just another word for being overlooked. You begin to feel invisible. And when that feeling creeps in, it can be dangerous, because the voice that follows whispers something seductive. Stop trying. Just match their energy. That voice promises relief. It promises fairness. It promises a kind of emotional equality that says, if they're sharp, you be sharp. If they're dismissive, you be dismissive. If they withdraw, you withdraw harder. For a moment, that feels powerful, but it's not. It's just surrender. Now listen carefully, because this is important. If you are tired of being the loving one, it does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you've been foolish, and it does not mean you should harden yourself. It means that you've been carrying something alone. Love was never meant to be carried as a solo burden. When you find yourself exhausted, the problem isn't that you chose love. The problem is that somewhere along the way, you started believing you had to be endlessly available, endlessly patient, or endlessly accommodating. That isn't love. That's overextension. Real love includes strength, real love includes clarity, and real love includes rest. Sometimes the exhaustion isn't from loving, it's from abandoning yourself while you love. And there's a difference. You can choose compassion without sacrificing your nervous system. You can choose grace without accepting disrespect, and you can choose patience without erasing your own boundaries. If your love has been or has begun to feel like depletion, then something needs adjusting. Not the love itself, but the structure around it. Because love without structure becomes burnout. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen in relationships, in friendships, in workplaces, and in families. One person becomes the emotional stabilizer, the peacemaker, the steady one, the reasonable one, the one who always understands. And the more they understand, the more everyone else expects them to. Eventually, that understanding stops feeling noble and starts feeling lonely. If that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not responsible for holding every emotional thread together. You are not required to be the calmest person in every storm, and you are not obligated to respond perfectly every time somebody else refuses to grow. Choosing love does not mean volunteering for exhaustion. There's a sacred difference between choosing love and being used for your steadiness. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is pause, step back, breathe. Not to punish anyone and not to prove a point, but to recover. Because love that comes from depletion starts to distort. It starts to carry resentment under the surface, and it starts to sound gentle but feel bitter. And that's not the thread that we're trying to weave. When you're tired of being the loving one, it may be time to remember that love is not about performing sainthood. It's about alignment. It's about acting from the center of who you are, not from fear of what will happen if you don't. You don't have to match someone's chaos, but you also don't have to absorb it endlessly. You can be loving and firm. You can be compassionate and available or unavailable for harm. You can be soft and immovable at the same time. Sometimes the exhaustion comes from thinking love means constant yielding. It doesn't. It means staying true to your values without losing yourself in the process. There is a quiet strength in saying, I will continue to choose love, but I will no longer choose self-abandonment. That sentence alone can restore your energy. Because the fatigue isn't from loving, it's from stretching beyond your limits in order to keep peace. And peace that requires you to disappear isn't peace. It's suppression. If you've been the one who swallows the sharp comment, if you've been the one who smooths the tension, if you've been the one who says it's okay when it isn't, I want you to release the pressure to be flawless. Love does not require perfection. It requires honesty. And sometimes honesty sounds like this. I need space. I can't carry this right now. I love you, but I won't participate in this dynamic anymore. That's not abandoning love. That's protecting it. Because if you burn out, if you harden, if you decide it isn't worth it anymore, the world loses something steady. The goal isn't to stop loving. The goal is to love from a place that doesn't drain you dry. In the next episode, we're going to talk about something that grows directly out of this. The power of a quiet no. The kind of no that doesn't scream, doesn't attack, doesn't justify endlessly, just stands. But today, I want you to sit with this. If you're tired, it doesn't mean you chose wrong. It means you need restoration. There is nothing noble about collapsing from emotional overwork. There is something profoundly wise about recalibrating. Love is not martyrdom. Love is not self-erasure. And love is not constant accommodation. Love is strength guided by conscience. And if you are the one who keeps choosing it, even when you're tired, that says something powerful about who you are. Just make sure that you're choosing it in a way that includes yourself. Because you are not outside the thread. You are part of it. And love that excludes you isn't love at all. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're still choosing love, even if you're tired. I love you all very, very, very much. And you know what I need you to do? Go out and pass that on, okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.